Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
I got an idea. How about you just shut up?
You just shut up.
Maybe change your game, best player in the world. You can't just outscore opponents and win games in the playoffs.
No.
Said the guy who's won one playoff series in the last decade.
And it was against the Leafs. Fart. Oh, wait. No, you're talking about the Tampa one. Because Columbus beat Tampa.
Yeah.
But then the fake playoff series against
The
Leafs.
fake playoffs doesn't count.
Fart.
We should go easy on the Leafs. They were a lottery team 2 years ago.
What?
Is that what?
The Leafs were a lottery team 2 years ago.
Are you talking about when they gave up their first round pick to Carolina?
No, the year they lost to Columbus, they were in the lottery.
Oh,
Kyle
God.
Dubas was on TV during the draft lottery. And everything
That's
I
true.
just said is factual.
Oh, my
The
God.
Leafs,
I forgot about that.
A year and a half ago, were a lottery team.
And
Let's
now
go easy on them.
they've won 10 of their last 11. And the only game in their last 11 that they lost is one that I was there for.
Because this is about you.
It is. Look at this.
Super duper pooper network. It doesn't stand for Steve Dangle Podcast. It's super
Who's
duper
on the
network.
card? Who's on the bottle? Who's on the mug? Me. Imagine if I was like that.
We should have a contest for who can come up with the best acronym meaning for SDPN.
Super duper.
Does that be a contest? What are we giving away?
poo? No.
Nope.
I don't know.
No.
We'll figure it out.
Network's the last word. But what's the SDP?
Super duper poo network?
Super duper pooper network. Could be anything you want it to be.
We'll figure it out.
Connor McDavid says before the game, maybe I should just shut up, and then proceeds to destroy the team he's playing. Now, it really doesn't matter who Connor McDavid's facing. What he did last night and what he's done for the last couple of games, where he just walks through people. And honestly, the goal that prompted the conversation for John Tortorella to tell him to shut up led to one of, I think, the more interesting moments in Connor McDavid's off-ice career, which was yesterday. Connor McDavid doesn't say much. You could tell he's frustrated. Sometimes it's deer in the headlights look when he's upset.
He also didn't ask for this moment.
No, this is not a moment. This was foisted upon him.
He
like
did.
retirement on Jerome McGinley.
Oh, how dare you! That's Hockey Hall of Famer Jerome McGinley. No, because McDavid made these comments, but they were some months ago. I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
And it just happened to be brought up on ESPN, and now all of a sudden he's at the center of this story that he didn't really say anything for. Because John Tortorella, I mean, it's the right move to have John Tortorella on TV. He does get a reaction, doesn't he? Even when he's not yelling and screaming.
Well, so this is the thing. I think that Connor McDavid saying, "I guess I should just shut up." That's the key. That's the key to this. That is, and people were actually debating me on this on Twitter. I'm like, literally, you can throw anything on Twitter. You can be like, "This is the color red," and people be like, "Actually, it's more of a light orange."
Yeah.
That's why it's not a good place for conversation.
100%.
No.
So
It's bad for your brain.
Connor McDavid said something. Connor McDavid spoke up and said, and what do we always say about change in the NHL? What does it take?
Several generations and a lot of complaining.
Okay, but also the star players to step up and say something, right?
Oh, yeah, that's why my answer was more right. My answer is the thing that happens. Your answer is what should happen.
What should happen, but it's not gonna happen unless the star players speak up. So, we talked about it last episode. You talked about Sidney Crosby judo flipping a guy on the Capitals, which actually happened. And he had to adapt his game, and McDavid is like doing the flying Gordies with his elbows, right? He's just dropping elbows like it's out of style. And it's funny, you shouldn't have to do that. Right?
No. He shouldn't
have to do that.
That's the evolution in his game.
The amount of people who did not take that statement for what it was. They're like, he didn't say anything. He just repeated what Tortorella said. Fucking exactly. Exactly. That's the point.
No, it was a dig at Torts. Like, he clapped back at the guy who told him to shut up.
You know why? Because Torts is wrong.
Yeah.
And the idea, now, Torts is correct about the NHL, but the sentiment, the theory, the whole reason behind it is wrong.
You ever get a tweet from someone and you're like, I wish I would take your license away right now?
Yes.
Anyone who's all he did was repeat it back at you, I don't feel safe on the road with you. I don't. No one should. give me your license right now. You're not competent enough to operate a motor vehicle. If you don't understand the nuance of holy shitting what he was talking about. And the other thing, Adam, goodness, I'm so glad that yesterday they pulled out their box, their big box, full of receipts.
Oh.
And the receipts are full of numbers. And you know what the numbers said? Connor McDavid draws more penalties than any other player in the NHL.
No, they didn't say that.
They did say that.
That was sarcasm.
Nope, they said it.
Who said that?
They pulled out the numbers.
Okay.
And they showed it to me, and they said, explain this.
Yeah. No.
Explain this, stupid.
I don't think that happened.
It happens.
Okay.
It happens. They said he draws more penalties than any other player in the NHL. Explain that, smart one. And at that moment, the compartment in my brain containing my fucking memory of all the shit I've seen exploded. It just blew up. And I instantly forgot every instance of Connor McDavid ever getting mugged, particularly in the playoffs, ever. And it going uncalled. I'm so glad that number you put in front of me just sent a missile into my head and blew up those pesky memories of all the shit I've actually seen with my own two eyes. Again, give me your license. Holy shit.
Stop shaking the thing.
No, I shan't.
The guy with the subwoofer is going to be really mad this episode.
You know what? Add him to the list. Give me the license, subwoofer guy.
No.
Very nice person.
No,
I'm trying
reasonable.
to lower the lower range. I'm trying to get rid of the lower range of this podcast so we don't disturb the subwoofers out there.
Fine. You keep the license.
Here.
Don't do
It's called the brown note.
Oh, God.
That is one of the funniest episodes of South Park ever with Kenny G.
Okay, for how many listeners did your bumper just fall off?
So people are saying that he draws more penalties than any other player.
Yep, we didn't weep.
But in the playoffs, he drew 0 penalties.
What?
In the playoffs last season, he drew 0 penalties
Jesse,
versus the Winnipeg Jets.
Jesse, ignore the facts. The facts, you're ignoring the facts, which are he draws the most penalties.
No, but he drew 0.
Yeah, but the
in
facts
the
are that he draws the most.
The only place it matters, the Stanley Cup playoffs, he drew 0.
I'm sorry, but he draws the most penalties.
If we're going to talk about 0, how about 100 percentile? That's what he's in during the regular season for penalties drawn. He's in the 100th percentile. He's 1 of 1. Answer that one, stupid. Dummy, big dummy. How do people get through the day?
Okay.
My God!
Yo, when we talk about hockey stuff, I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not a politician. Can you imagine the way people debate shit now? I'm like, I could never do this. Like sometimes in hockey, I'm like, I gotta delete this app. This is insane.
One of the best things I ever did for my own anxiety is I stopped going on public freakout on Reddit because it was just people at. You know what they love in the States is a good old podium having like a parent-teacher meeting.
Oh, yeah.
They love having... Hey, you know what'll help our very tiny local school? If 100 actually out-of-their-mind people come up to the stage and give us exactly 3 minutes of their zany opinions.
That is actually, it's happening more and more. The New York Times did a huge expose on that. We won't get into it, but my girlfriend's been like completely enraptured by that. So by virtue, I've been absorbing it, and they've done like podcast series and article series on like think tanks infiltrating the school system. It's crazy.
Well, and how do you... I always think about the people working those events.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, how do you possibly... for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, sit there and actually pay attention? How do you not just...
I went to school for this, I went to school for this, I went to school for this, I went to school for this.
How do you not just disassociate for that entire time
think
to
they
the
do.
point where drool is actually dribbling down your chin?
When it comes to this type of debate with McDavid, though,
Thank you.
there isn't...
This is why Adam gets the big bucks.
There is not an argument here. There is not an argument to be had here.
Numbers. There's one.
There's no argument.
So there's one. There's one argument.
There is no argument.
Shove it up your ass.
Like there is sometimes on a subject, the truth is the truth. And there is no two ways to look at it. And this is one of those times.
What's the truth?
The truth is that, of course, Connor McDavid draws the most penalties in the regular season. He's always got the puck.
And
They can't stop him. And then on top of that, in the playoffs, what do we know? The rules change, everybody.
Yes.
The rules change and the penalties stop coming. I wonder why that is. Could it be because they call the game differently and they never admit to that openly? I guess it is.
And the rules work in, first of all, it's not just a McDavid thing. It's a star player thing.
Sure.
So it's basically take your favorite team, take your team's best player. Am I talking about them? Yes, that one. But it works in the inverse. Because I remember Justin Bourne writing an article. It's amazing how often I bring up his work. Like how often something I read of his years ago is still in my brain. But he was talking about Dustin Byfuglien, who for a very long time was one of the most penalized players in the entire league. And the point that he made, I think it was on his famous list, players you don't want to play against when you're hungover.
Oh, that's a great list.
It's
what a great idea.
Like Brendan Gallagher was on it, the Sedins. It was great. But basically, for every penalty that Dustin Byfuglien takes, and he takes more than almost anybody else, for every penalty that he takes, there's 3 or 4 that they don't call because they're not going to call them all.
Right.
They're just not going to call them all. So when everything you do is an infraction, it's cool because you're going to get away with it like 80% of the time.
Play the odds.
Play the odds. Hack and slash everybody. Take the amount of penalties Chris Pronger got in his entire career and at least quintuple it for what he should have got. That dude he could dry clothes on your spine, ring, ring, in front of the net. That dude was playing the xylophone on Spooky, Scary Skeleton.
Can I ask a serious question about that, though?
Sure.
Okay, I understand the rule where you can push off a person because that's always existed. But why do we have to accept NHL stars getting cross-checked at all? Or NHL players getting cross-checked at all? Like, I'd be fine with them getting away from the push-off rule because so many defensemen use that as I'm just going to break my stick over your hips.
Yes.
And I don't think, like, let me ask you seriously, honestly, what does it add to the game to make it more entertaining? If you push somebody off with your stick, what you're doing is you're separating the bodies. What I'd prefer is to see a defenseman physically with their chest and shoulder move a guy out of the way of the net. Yeah. That to me is far more compelling than this clean and jerk thing that they've got going on.
Yeah, I would never play that way, obviously, but because I'm a bad player, if I was getting paid millions of dollars and my livelihood was on the line, that's what I would do.
Yep.
Because I'm shit. I'm garbage at the sport. If I was actually strong on my skates, I'd try to shove the guy, but I'm not. So I'm going to literally blunt force try to break my stick on the guy.
Yeah.
Right now in hockey, there's a whole other game that's being played when 2 players are in front of the net. You're jockeying for position to block the goalie and get the other guy away from the goalie to not block him. So in the rules right now, you're allowed to do anything in that area. Yeah. When you're in the little crease area in front of the goalie, you can do anything and they're not going to call it because it's understood that right there is war and you guys can do anything with your equipment or your sticks or your pushing and get him out in front of the net.
And let's not mince words. This is not tough versus soft. This is good versus bad.
Yes.
These guys do this because
they're not good.
They're not as good as the other player. That's why.
Yeah.
Now there's occasionally the retaliatory penalty. A lot of Montreal Canadiens fans are going to say for every Ben Sherratt cross-check, Austin Matthews gave it back, and you're right. But this is what it's about in front of the net. It's 100% what it's about. And NHL officiating can't even fake it, for God's sake. They didn't even last to Halloween with those cross-checking calls. They didn't even last.
I forgot that was even a thing.
So did they.
Yeah. Wow. Well, anyway, Connor McDavid continues to destroy people, but I would like to see him do it more.
This has been really
even against
good
the Leafs, if that's what it takes.
For the game of hockey, though, because this is the best player in the world, and this is him saying something in the media.
It matters.
This has been cool to see because it happens so often in every other sport that finally there's a narrative in hockey surrounding a good player going back at somebody in the media and then them going on the ice and proving that they're the best player again. It's been great.
What we saw in basketball was Kobe Bryant and the Lakers were willing to take it on. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers were not okay with the calls that were being missed on Kobe, so they submitted a sizzle reel of Kobe Bryant getting slapped around on his way to the rim, and the league changed the way they officiated along with some other things. Players in the NHL notoriously do not want to take on stuff like this. They don't want to take on anything other than playing hockey. Fair, fine, whatever. But do you think the star players in the game, does this die here? Or do the star players in the game start to say, yeah, I think we got to make some changes here? I would like to see this because the ball's rolling now. If they take advantage of it now, you actually could spin this into something. But if they don't, I have this, sometimes a lot of this stuff in the NHL just kind of, it lies dead.
Yeah, because the NHL does make concerted efforts to stop the ball. So how is this going to come back on the Oilers now?
Oh, you mean like it'll come back in a different way?
Oh, yeah. Because it's
That'd be awful.
Everyone joins McDavid unless McDavid is made an example of, and I think that might be coming.
There's no way.
They like their club. Big fan of the club.
That is true. They do like their club.
The only
That'd
way
be terrible for the sport of hockey.
Yeah, what else is new?
Yeah, so we're 3 lockouts.
Yeah. Well,
What'd you just get here? You want help with your bags?
I'm just saying, it would be awful. Like, that's the complete opposite direction of where this needs to go.
You know what else would be awful? Canceling the Stanley Cup.
What?
They did that. Remember, they canceled the Cup for an 04-05.
No, you mean, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
the entire year.
That was unthinkable. And then they thought it, and they said, okay.
Yeah. Well, and they changed the rules, and rather than have the players adapt, the officiating just slowly regressed over time. You know that year, that 05-06 year, where everyone scored bananas amounts of goals and Crosby versus Ovechkin single-handedly saved the league? Mm-hmm. The league literally looked at that and went, that can't continue. The most entertaining season of hockey we've seen in a generation. Nuts to that. We're done here. And they slowly went backward over the course of over a decade. The people who run the sport are fucking dumb, man. Like, let's say what it is.
I'm excited to see what the commissioner after Gary Bettman does with the NHL. It'll be fascinating.
Yeah. Because it does make a difference. Like, you look at the difference between what Major League Baseball was with Bud Selig and now, and then, David Stern and Adam Silver. And you could argue David Stern was one of the more progressive commissioners at the time. But with what Adam Silver's done, as he's not perfect, but boy, is he a lot different.
It's been tenfold.
Yeah, and I would love to see what the NFL looks like without Goodell.
We now present new NHL commissioner Bill Daly.
Goodell gets shit for everything he does off the field, but the on-field product of the NFL, I think it's never been better. I think like he's blown me away with what he does on the field in terms of just like the most important thing in football is the quarterback. And they have gone so far in protecting the quarterback that now it's ridiculous. But that's what he's tried to do. He's tried to grow the game, and he's done it by just tripling and quadrupling down on protecting the best player in the game.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask
kudos
about that.
Goodell for that.
I want to ask about that because as not a football guy, I only get like side glances at the news. Has it been an overcorrection then?
It has. It's been a crazy overcorrection where in terms of this season, there's been some plays that have affected the game because what they've done, they've taken away the ability for anybody who's tackling the quarterback to do so aggressively, which is the only way to tackle someone in football.
And sacks are down, right?
The sacks are down, and the main thing that they differentiate here is they don't want you to put any pressure on the quarterback's body when you're bringing him down. So you can't land with your body pressure on the quarterback. You can't hit him. You can't hit him down low either. You can't hit him through the legs. So
how do you hit him?
That's the exact debate that's happening in the NFL because defensive players are getting these roughing the passer penalties constantly because they're just trying to tackle how they've been tackling for the first 25 years of their life playing football, and now that's illegal in the NFL. So that's the new rule because they want the quarterback to survive. They want the quarterback because that's the thing that drives the NFL game. They want us to be protected. So they've created this obtuse rule.
Okay. So do you think they go back a bit on that?
No. I think they say you guys got to adapt because that's who's driving all the revenue for us. And that's what makes the game exciting, having a great quarterback.
Interesting.
Well, and look at you think Tom Brady being the best quarterback of all time hurts football? Tom Brady would not be playing today if it were not for some of those rules because he would have got hit.
Yeah.
When was he drafted?
Oh, God.
99.
And he's
dude, I remember watching the first Super Bowl with him because Bledsoe started that year. And then like 3 games in, they'd like lost, and then he came in and he just won everything else.
Oh, I remember, watching the Patriots
Clearly.
as like a child.
Yeah, and they beat
Now
the
he's-
Rams too, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's the Rams year."
Yeah.
It's like, again, they were going to repeat.
Was that the one where the guy was at the 1 yard line?
No, that was the one before.
Oh,
that was
okay.
Eddie George, your Jersey namesake.
Yes.
That was when
against
the
St.
Rams
Louis.
won. They beat the Titans.
Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny that I don't know that? The one football thing I probably should know, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you know what, St. Louis, fuck your team.
Yep,
We're taking it back to LA.
Too bad.
Yeah, the family that owns the Rams, apparently they weren't very good to the city of St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. Are you talking about billionaires not being good to people?
No, but I'm sure
They have such a great reputation normally.
They're
no.
philanthropists.
Hey, they give money to charity, so we can't criticize them.
Yeah.
Are you guys referencing somebody?
Everyone.
No.
Everyone ever.
Actually, that's the thing. We're not.
There's a lot of people you could put into that. It's fall, which means football season is in full swing, and that means for you, that's a way to get some skin in the game and have a little extra fun, and that's why BetMGM remains the exclusive betting partner of The Athletic. As a fan of The Athletic, you can bet $10 to win $150 plus a free 3-month subscription or extension to your subscription with The Athletic when you use BetMGM and the promo code. Just sign up at BetMGM.com and use this promo code, The Athletic Pod, at checkout to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. That's a $10 bet to win $150 plus 3 months free from The Athletic at BetMGM.com using the promo code TheAthleticPod at checkout. It's a new customer offer. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
21 years of age or older to wager. Arizona, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Washington, D.C., Nevada, Wyoming, and Virginia, 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan, 1-800-GAMBLER in Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789 in Tennessee or call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana.
This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Check out BetterHelp.com/STP. Now, life is full of stressors. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. Young, old, rich, not as rich. Do you have a house? Do you have furniture? You can still be stressed. And I think it's a really good time right now, before we get into the holidays and stuff. Yeah, we got to start talking about the holidays. I think maybe you should talk to somebody who's completely unbiased about your life. Somebody who isn't going to judge you or take sides on anything. When there are things you can't tell anyone, or you feel like you can't unload it in your family and friends, and you need to unload it, that's what therapy can be for you. And BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't even have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload those stressors. This podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. And use the promo code SDP. You'll get 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/STP. That's BetterHelp.com/STP. Hey, so I want to go through this, Jesse. I sent you a big readout on what I want to do with just how I want to navigate Jim Benning and the Canucks here.
Okay.
So there are some clips in there, and I'll throw to you. I just sent you an email. It's in your Gmail, just a heads up.
Do you need a minute to set this up?
No.
No.
Okay.
We'll do it on the fly. Jesse.
Steve.
Dude.
How dare you?
Well,
Jesse, what do we work together since you and me in every studio every day for like what, since 2014?
About that.
We can manage it.
Wow, since
Sure.
Jim Benning got hired.
Interesting that you say that. Now, Steve,
What
you've
season
said it
was
how
it?
many times before, and it was a viral tweet not a day ago. What's the safest job in the land?
National Hockey League general manager. If
Where?
you're in Canada, it's the safest job in the world. Safest job in the world.
Should we go through the list?
Let's go through the list.
Go through the list.
I can do it off the top of my head.
I want you to count it down from shortest to longest.
Okay, Ken Holland was hired by the Oilers in 2019. Kyle Dubas was hired by the Leafs in 2018.
But 16 is the AGM? Or 15 is
14.
the AGM? 14 is the AGM.
Pierre Dorian was 2016 with the Sens. Then it was Jim Benning in May of 2014 with the Canucks. Brad Treliving in April 2014 with the Flames. Mark Bergevin in 2012 with the Montreal Canadiens, and Kevin Cheveldayoff from day one in 2011 with the Winnipeg Jets. I was thinking about something with Jim Benning, and everyone's piling on top of him, and we're not being hard enough. I was trying while I was actually, because I was watching his press conference.
And we'll go through it all, by the way.
And we will go through it. I said this in like at least 2016. It's cruel and unusual punishment to parade this man in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
It's mean.
We'll talk about that moment. I know what moment you're referencing. We will get to that moment. Don't bring it up yet, because it is icing on the cake.
That I'm not even being sarcastic. I feel genuinely horrible for this person.
He's not meant for that.
No, for God's sake, no.
Not meant for that.
But we'll get to it. But while I was trying to find the Canucks brownie points, and as a Rogers employee, I'm very aware of these trends on account of 2014 is when Rogers got the rights. It was a 2014-15 season. And since the beginning of that season, okay, so you got the good teams. You got the surprise teams. So the good teams, we're talking the Lightning. We're talking who's won cups. Boston. They've
Chicago was good back then. LA was good back then.
Yeah, Tampa's been good the whole time. Pittsburgh got a couple cups. Yep. Washington. Those are the good teams. Then there's the accidentally good teams.
San Jose, by the way, you should put in that good team.
San Jose, absolutely. They just didn't get over the hump.
Yep.
The accidentally good teams.
St. Louis.
St. Louis is interesting.
They're always in the. I'm taking a shot. St. Louis is always in the.
Yeah,
playoffs.
but they did go from last to first, so that's interesting. The Montreal Canadiens, accidentally good.
That was actually accidental.
Yeah.
St. Louis was intentionally good.
Then there's the teams who, and maybe I'd put St. Louis into this category. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit. You know, sometimes they're competitive, sometimes not so much. They got to take a year off, whatever. Then there's the rebuilding teams, the Ottawas, the Arizona right now in
Toronto
a very
did.
big way. Toronto did.
Toronto was a lottery team a year and a half ago. Just so everybody knows
Thank you, Jesse.
that Toronto Maple Leafs were a lottery team.
Ron Hainsey's a millennial.
God, that kills me, and that kills me too. There's the rebuilding teams. Then there's the worst category in the National Hockey League in professional sports. Bad by accident. The Vancouver Canucks, since the beginning of the 2014-15 season, have to lead the entire NHL in bad by accident. How many bad on purpose seasons have they had since the beginning of the 2014-15 season?
Since
Maybe
Luongo?
one? Maybe one?
No. They've always tried to be good this entire decade.
Always tried to compete. Now, we all knew it was coming. 2011, they won President's Trophy. They get all the way to Game 7. 2012, they win the President's Trophy, and, people give them a lot of shit for that, but, I mean, the Kings ended up winning the Cup. 2013, they had that series against Calgary. I don't even remember who won. I think it was Calgary.
Calgary won. That was Gaudreau and Monahan being wasn't that their breakout?
No. I think that was the Cardiac Kids you're thinking of.
Yeah.
I think that was the first year of the rights, and that was a lot of fun.
Okay.
I might be getting the timeline mixed up a little bit, but as so they're falling. They're falling.
They're aging.
They're retooling, rebuilding a little bit. It's not totally unexpected that they had a few bad seasons since 2014-15. But no team has tried to compete and failed to do so as many times over the last 7-8 seasons as the Vancouver Canucks. The only team, I was trying to think, okay, who even comes close? Oh, Calgary. This country's had a tough time the last few years with hockey, for God's sake. Internationally, we've had some success, men's, women's. That's been great. But in terms of NHL
teams
success,
doing well.
in terms of teams achieving their goal, you talked about the Leafs rebuild. They wanted to finish last, and by gum, they did. You talk about the Senators and their rebuild. I think we all agree it's going okay, especially with the parameters that the Sens put around themselves. The Edmonton Oilers, they go out and they get Connor McDavid. They had a few bad by accident years too, but I don't think a year has gone by out of the last 2 or 3 where we would say, yeah, I could see them making noise. Who has been bad by accident more than the Jim Benning's Vancouver Canucks? No one. Not one. Not one team in the National Hockey League. No, not even Buffalo. I hear you. No, not even Buffalo.
Because Buffalo didn't have expectations. Like from 14-15 when they started tearing it down, they started tearing it down. They just never built it back up again.
Yeah, the main criticism of Buffalo isn't necessarily bad by accident. It's didn't try.
Yeah.
And this year they're trying even less, which is fine. You know, you got to do what you got to do to rebuild. But the Canucks, every time they're bad, which is often, it's a surprise. And for him, after all this time, to get up in front of the media and be like, I don't have any answers, that's not acceptable. You're done. Like, Jim Benning is currently in title the general manager of the Vancouver Canucks. He collects a paycheck from the Vancouver Canucks, but as long as that's his answer, he's not the GM of that team. I would argue he hasn't been the GM of the team for at least a year. He just still keeps to make moves and stuff. Which is why I'm done being mean to Jim Benning, and we all should be. This is squarely on the shoulders of the Aquilinis. It's your fault. It's been the same dude in charge forever. He's given you nothing in terms of results. Nothing. You won a series in a year where you shouldn't have even been in it, right? That's it over his tenure. That's all he's given you. He is what he is. It's like screaming about first-line center Tyler Bozak. Well, it's not like he applied. It's not like he handed in a resume with a cover letter, first-line center, please. He became the face of it, but who was behind it? It was Randy Carlyle. Stop putting him in this role. He's not meant for it.
And stop hating Grabowski for no reason.
Yes! That too. Leave it to a Leaf fan to make it about the Leafs. But Jim Benning has shown time and time again, maybe not the guy for this role here. It's the Aquilinis. They wear it. They wear the entire thing, and I'm done being mean to him because it's not his fault.
Let me jump on that.
Okay.
Elliot Friedman in 32 Thoughts. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. Under Aquilini ownership, a top-level management change isn't made without a ready replacement. Dave Notice to Mike Gillis. Mike Gillis to Trevor Linden. The Canucks haven't had an in-season coaching change since Mark Crawford replaced Mike Keenan at the 1999 All-Star Weekend.
You're joking.
Wow.
Several of our Vancouver-based Sportsnet compatriots, with much better grasps of the market than me, are saying they believe fan reaction during Wednesday's return versus Colorado, where they chanted "Fire Benning," by the way, could determine the course of action. That's insane. Certainly, a catering to ticket sales affects change, but base moves on one night's festivities is an awful process and doomed to fail. Now, Elliot, I have to say, it's not the game where they're booing him. It's the 8 years of resume he built up to get to the game.
No, but here, I think Elliot and you agree on something fundamentally here.
Tell me.
You're both agreeing that this team is boned.
Right.
They're super screwed. The point Elliot is making is there's, to me, the point that I think he's making is they made their bed during the offseason. They let him run the offseason. They let him go into this season as a general manager. It's too late. It's too late to make a move.
Right. Well, I don't think that. So I did jump a couple paragraphs there, but the reason I wanted to include that second paragraph, and Elliot's awesome. I'm not trying to take shots at Elliot.
No.
Here, but here's the thing. You've got. I get what Elliot's saying. If you base it on that one Wednesday night and you go, well, we got to fire him because the fans hate him now. That shows the flaw in leadership because you didn't fire him before this.
A little bit
it got to this point.
A little bit like Brian Burke with Ron Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where the fans basically fired him in one evening, and Brian Burke said that's enough.
The Aquilinis have to be making this decision through thinking about it and seeing the track record, not, hey, now that the fans are angry, we make a move.
And that, I believe, is what Elliot is saying.
Yeah.
However, for anybody that takes it any other way, I believe what we're trying to say here is there was a resume. And by the way, Canucks fans went to the wall for Benning. I have been on this show. We've done this show for 8 years.
You're absolutely right.
And since Jim Benning took over, we have criticized and we've been like, oh, you drafted well. Holy shit, that's a terrible free agency signing. Do you know how many tweets I got when Jay Beagle scored an overtime winner in the playoffs in the bubble? They're like, fuck you. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Well, who was he traded for? What's happened since?
I don't even-
And then what happened? I kept telling you, how long have I been saying, Jim Benning, put down the phone on July 1st, please. God, you're wrecking the good thing that you've created. And here we are. And according to Sport Logic, and this is again in 32 Thoughts. By the way, 32 Thoughts this week was a banger. Pettersson is tied for 6th in the league. By the way, Pettersson is a part of
He's been really
what's happening
struggling.
here. Pettersson is tied for 6th in the league in cycle chances with 28. Other than that, he is a stunning non-factor. 2 seasons ago, he had 24 goals in the slot in 68 games. This year, he's got 0 in 16. He's simply too good for that. It's not solely on one player, but his descent from the usual eliteness torpedoes Vancouver's attack, and that's true. Now, I want to read what the Canucks Army had to say on the Jim Benning thing, because there's a nice little paragraph.
Okay, just on the Pettersson thing, like that's unacceptable for somebody who has the talent to be a top 10 player in the NHL.
Easily.
And I don't know if that's on Travis Green or if that's in his head or
Maybe
what
he
they
just
need
signed
to
a
do.
new big extension and he's feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, but he didn't have a great year last year. Well, he's injured all last year, but
that's the thing,
it's
right?
just that needs to turn around because it's all there and he's going to eventually get it and it's on them to get it out of him.
I think we all agree they're maybe not great, but they're too good for this.
Yeah.
Sure. So Jim Benning, and the headline on everything was, I could never have foreseen a start like this. And everybody else is saying, we could.
That's the problem.
And the Canucks Army rightly point out that the Canucks themselves in management have no problem removing people that are dissenting voices. This has been one of the problems of this management.
Yeah, or fans, or paying fans.
Well, that too. But when we're talking just about a great leadership group is going to disagree with each other. You know, heck, we disagree with each other on things all the time.
Yeah.
It's always respectful. But if you can't disagree and have dissenting opinions, how could you possibly pretend to have an opinion worth having? An opinion worth having is one that can be challenged and one that can be defended. And it looks like the Canucks have turned their management office into an echo chamber. So here's what the Canucks Army had to say. The Vancouver Canucks, who are bad, are only learning now that they are bad. So bad that their GM, Jim Benning, decided to do a press conference to talk about it. In his press conference,
He didn't decide to do this shit.
he gave a weak admission of responsibility, deflecting attention to major flooding going on in Vancouver. We will play that clip in a minute. Why bring that up in the middle of a question and not at the beginning? Benning then pointed the fingers at his stars, saying Pettersson was not playing well, and that's the reason the team sucks, while defending his costly offseason acquisitions of Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tucker Pullman, who have made a bad Canucks defense somehow even worse this year. Now, he did speak to the media. What I loved about it, he's like, we better start stringing some wins together or we're going to be out of it, or to get back in it. And I'm thinking, and this goes back to what Steve was saying earlier.
It's mean.
Don't put him in front of a microphone.
Stop.
But if you can't be in front of a microphone, you can't be a general manager in the National Hockey League.
I've said it for years. I think he'd be a fine AGM. Most people aren't.
I think he'd be, he's very good at drafting. There's no question. He's good enough at drafting.
Now,
Very
I know.
good. Let me read the quote.
He was an AGM in Boston when they did the Tyler Seguin trade. I know.
Yeah.
But he's done some good things. I'm not saying he's
maybe at one
complete
point
garbage.
he would have been a good general manager.
Maybe.
Or
Also,
AGM.
Tyler Seguin, no, I look back at that deal a little differently.
Oh, well, we can talk about that. You might have a point.
The moves we made this summer, I would never have envisioned we got off to this start, but we have, and we have to deal with it and figure it out. Jim Benning said last year, and Jesse, this is the first clip I'd like you to bring up, if that's okay.
Yeah, you want to play it?
About 30 seconds in. It's a Twitter video, so you can run it on Thing if you want to.
To play?
Yeah. So about 30 seconds in, they ask him about a quote where, last year he said they're about 2 years away from being truly competitive, and what he thinks about that now.
This is from Twitter user Quadrelli.
Back in the right direction, winning hockey games, and hopefully compete for a playoff spot.
Last year, you said you felt you were 2 years away from being really competitive. Do you feel now it's 1 year away, or has that timeline changed?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that right now with where we're at. We got to just figure out, how our penalty kill can be better, how our best players can perform better, how, we're a fragile team right now, how we can work through that, be mentally tougher. Those are the issues that we're dealing with right now.
It's mean. It's mean.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. Oh, it's a fantastic question.
And his answer should have been no. Next question.
Yeah, generally, okay, if someone refuses to answer your question, that doesn't mean it was a bad question. That's a good one. Generally speaking, I thought the Canucks have really, I think their fans are very tough on the team.
Always. And
the media who cover them can be, but generally speaking, I think they're one of the smarter cores of reporters in the league.
From Ian McIntyre on sportsnet.ca. Benning emerged from his Tuesday summit with the Aquilini ownership group with the family's apparent continued support. For now. When asked about it, I'm not going to worry about that, he said of his job security. There will be an ownership decision. That will be an ownership decision. And if they get to the point where, they don't feel like I'm doing a good job and I need to be replaced, they'll make that decision. Like I told you, I like this group. I like this group of players. I think along the way, what we tried to do is make sure that our younger players were surrounded with veteran players so they could learn from them. But now we've kind of handed it over to the younger group of players that we've drafted and developed. And with that responsibility comes a lot of pressure. Now we've got to work with these guys and get them to play to their potential so we can start winning.
They're not doing it, but it's the right idea.
Sure, it's the right idea, but here's the problem. Is the veteran guys he replaced them with were too expensive and not good enough, right? We know that. Number two, what I didn't like about that is the younger players are not responsible for 8 pretty average at best, but mostly bad years.
What was Pettersson when Benning got this job? Like 14?
Yeah. I don't like that he puts that on the young players. I know that Pettersson's not playing great, but let's say even if he was, are the Canucks off to a great start? Probably no.
Can I think I have a pretty good sense of smell. When I walk into the kitchen and I smell something, I go, you know what? I know what's in the oven right now.
Pizza?
Sometimes it's pizza, strong garlic notes.
Can you smell what the Benning is cooking?
No, it's not Benning who's cooking it.
Pasta?
Now wait. So what we have here
Stroganoff?
is no, here, let me do it.
Cake?
Stop it.
Cupcakes?
No, it's not fucking cupcakes, Jesse. Let me do my bit.
Baguettes?
So what I'm smelling is an ownership who loves their guy, and they're okay with the job he's doing. And every July 1st, he goes out and he spends money that he shouldn't have. Any logical NHL executive wouldn't do this. Wait a sec. This isn't a GM problem. This is an ownership problem, and this dude is getting John Ferguson Jr.'d.
I want to name more foods.
Name another one. Name a fucking other one. I almost reached across the table, Jesse. I don't care that you're 7 feet tall or whatever. Okay. I think Jim Benning is having done to him what MLSE did to John Ferguson Jr. in Toronto. I think he's a puppet. I think he's a GM in title only. And this is the Aquilinis. Because I was thinking about these moves. And I was thinking about like the goofy hockey tropes they're throwing out. And hey, Jim, on July 1st, put away your phone. On July 1st, I think most active GMs are actually owners. On July 1st, you spend money. Whose money? Jim digging through his couch cushions? Digging under his car seat? So that he can afford Tucker Poolman? No! It's the Aquilini's money. I think they're running this team, and they're running it straight into the Earth's crust. This is why I'm done being mean to Jim Benning and this whole fire Benning. Like, okay, if it's an echo chamber in there, not only is Benning going to get fired, but they're poisoning the next candidate to be GM of this team. And also, who gives a shit who the next GM of this team is? It's Frank! It's the Aquilinis! That's why this team sucks. That's why nothing has changed, and that's why they're perfectly content with the fact that nothing has changed. How could these decisions possibly be bad? They're mine. That's why the Canucks stink. It's the owners, it's the owners, it's the owners. You know why you're pouting your lip at me, Adam? I made a great fucking point.
It's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement based on the mountain of evidence in front of me.
every
You saw the same man that I did. Does that look like a guy in charge?
no.
It looks like a man who's like spiraling out.
That's a man who goes into every meeting with the Aquilinis and goes, yes, dear. That's not Brian Burke, who is happy to tell his boss to fuck off.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure he had to countless times in every market he's been in. That dude hasn't made a decision for 8 years. That's my opinion.
But the problem is, that
ownership.
He's getting
else?
pinned with that. But to back Steve up, everything
Cupcakes?
I've ever heard about what it's like to work in an NHL front office is that
Croissants?
ownerships.
See how annoying that is?
Ownership does
I like it.
does interfere. Sometimes you'll hear stories, and this happens all the time. You'd be shocked.
Oh yeah,
You have owners all the time who go, I like this guy. How do we get him? Go get him.
My kid likes this guy. Get him for the third line.
You would be
yeah.
absolutely floored by how often that happens.
Mm-hmm.
You'd honestly, like, you think that I'm fucking making this up, man. Ask any reporter in the game.
Oh, the Trashers
Off the
documentary
record.
is tip of the iceberg.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's, Benning went on to say that he's happy at least that 5-on-5 they're getting better.
Oh, my own.
See, this is where I disagree with Steve. Because Jim Benning doesn't have to say this. Like, you're saying, don't be mean to Jim. It's not Jim's fault. Okay, well, Jim decided to be there. Jim doesn't have to be there. No one's twisting his arm to make millions of dollars. If he wants to be a couple $1 million pincushion, that's fine. But he doesn't need to say this. Because what is this answer? Here's the thing. What's this answer going to change? Is everybody going to go, you know what, he's right? Wait till I read it to you. I think 5-on-5, we've really improved our chances against in our 5-on-5 play. But right now, our special teams is hurting us. Our power play, we have the personnel, I believe, to have a real good power play. And for whatever reason, we're not performing on the power play. And then our penalty kill has really hurt us this year, as was in evidence in the game last night. They scored 3 power play goals, and that's the difference in the game. Now, here's we got the NHL's worst penalty kill. They're at a 60.3%. Their power play is ranked only slightly higher at 27th overall. Now, all of that is true. Jim's right.
But
everybody's like, yeah, Jim, we know. This is why I feel like, I don't want anybody to be mean to somebody, but I don't believe that Jim Benning is not deserving of your criticism. When you say stuff like that, he's trying to say, but. No. There's no buts right now.
I think he's trying to justify moves. You ever try to defend a point that you never made? That's what he sounds like.
Well, and then
I'm on to something.
And again, this is where I disagree with Steve, because I do think this person, if you're put in this position, if you accept this position and continue to accept this position, remember, he never had to accept had to accept the job in the first place or any extensions that have been thrown at him afterwards. Jesse, can you cue up the next clip about Abbotsford, please?
I got it. You want me to play it?
That would be great.
Do you have the quote about right-handed centers?
I don't have that.
That's a bad one, too.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
All right. Here's, did Jim Benning just compare the abysmal Canucks start to what's going on in Abbotsford?
Whose video is this?
David Johnson.
Okay.
It's a press conference clip.
Dave Johnson.
But also David, yeah.
He tweeted it out.
It's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not hard. It's really hard. But, like what's going on in BC right now with the people out in Abbotsford and the floods that they're dealing with, that's not easy either. So this is what we call life.
You mentioned, you asked you.
So pause it there. So just so you don't, in case you don't know,
Oh, God.
there are biblical level floods happening in BC right now. To the
After-
point where you can't get to Vancouver by road.
After catastrophic fires like a few months ago.
Right. And there are fires starting because of the floods.
You're joking.
No.
Oh my God.
You should have seen the pictures of Abbotsford. If you're on TikTok, you'll be able to see these videos that come up all the time. You cannot believe the level of water. It's crazy. And in the middle of that, in the city, essentially it's happening. Abbotsford's not that far. That's like Hamilton flooding. And a Toronto Maple Leaf general manager going, well, it's tough for them and it's tough for me as the general manager of the Leafs when this team doesn't perform well.
I think
No.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make here is you're saying I'm done being mean to Jim. fair. We don't want to be mean to anyone.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about being mean and criticizing and come on, you got to be better than that. Cannot. Are you that daft that you could make a remark like that and go, "Yep, this is the decision I wanted to make"? And it comes down to a couple things.
Maybe.
It comes down to a couple things. He's not ready for this press conference because he doesn't have the right people around him, and he's not equipped. So if you are not equipped, hire the people that are equipped to equip you. They do this with politicians all the time. Hey, you're going to have a really tough fucking press conference because you did something shitty. So the press is going to ask you a bunch of things. Let's go over your potential answers for that. That's what a PR team does. The Canucks have a PR account. Use your PR staff, come up with some generic answers, and don't say shit like that. It's just life. Are you kidding?
If they put the effort into this press conference that they did into confiscating signs at games,
well,
they would have nailed it.
So the hilarious fan sign Steve is referencing comes from at small sample size. And he's so funny. So I guess he had a folding sign and he said, "Finn, you're the best at winning."
Finn being their mascot.
And he folds it up and it says "Fire Benning." And
dude, it looks exactly like one of the signs I made for Leaf games when I was a kid. Like, it's really well done.
It's really well done. And they took it away from him.
Yeah, because you can't fire Benning. Benning did all the stuff I told him to do. That's bullshit. I own the team. Get out of my building. Give me that sign. Actually, never mind. Stay in the building, buy some popcorn, but give me that sign.
Apparently, the entire section booed when they confiscated it.
Yeah, because that's trash. That's garbage.
And Yerky21, creator of @BenningOnEmpty, is the one that came up with the original. Was the one that came up with the idea.
Finn, you're the best at winning. It's so good.
Really good.
So, yo, man.
So Vancouver Canucks.
Canucks.
They're ruthless.
It's just awesome.
We should have on the hockey guy to get a sense of how it's going out there.
Yeah.
I would love to know what he thinks. I would love, because he's so balanced, and it's like I don't even know how he could be balanced about this. I would love to that would be a test for him.
In a fan base of people screaming, it'd be interesting to get his calm. Man, they're really bad.
He might just be like, "Oh no, I expected this," and then just be content with it because he'd be like, "Yeah, they're shit, and I know it."
So, what was the Benning quote, if you can paraphrase, about right-handed centers?
Well, basically, so as I understand it, and I'm not obviously as tapped in on this team as I am on others, but supposedly part of their struggles on the penalty kill is they just don't have the right personnel. And it was very obvious what personnel they needed. And Travis Green supposedly said, like, be really nice to get another right-handed center on the penalty kill. And they don't have one. Like, the problems with this team have been, like, firing Green is going to do this.
Nothing. It's going to do nothing.
This is why I keep throwing it up to ownership. Firing Green is going to do nothing. Firing Benning, I think, is going to do nothing. And the shame of it all is one of those two things could happen and the Canucks could go on a run and it would surprise nobody.
But usually
because they're too talented for this.
Because Pettersson is going to come back.
Yes. Well, and just where they're at mentally. There was a clip I put in my Dang It's video yesterday of Brock Besser going slower than most people at a public skate on the back check. And it's the reason the puck went in. And it was in a game that was still winnable. They were losing, but it was winnable.
Yep.
There's just no effort there.
Because they're deflated. Man, watching Tucker Pullman in the press conference yesterday and being like, so we're just doing this. Like, he just signed the biggest contract of his life, and it's probably the worst 20-game stretch, not even 20-game stretch he's ever seen. That's a tough intro, man. That's tough.
It's not fun.
Friedge then went on to say in 32 Thoughts, and this sort of wraps up our Canucks. If the Canucks do eventually consider changes, it comes at a time when organizations are extremely nervous about the challenges of properly vetting candidates for current or future openings. The consequences of failing to do so as well. Anaheim and Chicago absolutely cannot afford mistakes. The league office holds major influence in these decisions, which is weird, by the way. I thought that sentence was weird. We can come back to that. And I'm not sure that's going to change much, but I can see more and more teams turning to outside entities in search of fresh perspectives or to make sure they aren't missing anything. And it's extremely common outside the NHL and inevitable within. Because here's the thing. The NHL has been one gigantic pinball game when it comes to management, right? If you're fired somewhere, you get picked up somewhere else.
It's like 45 dudes for 32 jobs.
Yeah, if you're in, you're in. And what's been interesting is teams are actually nervous about that. And by the way, when you're hiring for a position, usually that's par for the course. And Elliott says that. It's extremely common outside the NHL, literally to vet people. And I want to remind you, too, the Leafs are not off the hook on this one. Dusty Emo. That's one of the first moves, if not the first move the Marlies GM made. I can't even remember his name. And I heard through the Vine that Dubas was furious.
Well, because, how many people listening to the show have scrubbed or locked their Twitter account before going for a job interview? Because you don't want a potential employer to see your shit posts or your fanfics or all the stupid shit you put on social media because it's supposed to be fun in general.
Yep.
Like, they didn't even do that, right? It's not a Vancouver does this and no one else thing. That's so basic. That's such a basic thing. You don't take a gander. Hey man, what's your Twitter? Get real.
Yeah.
So it's not. Can you read the quote again, or at very least the first half?
I'll read the first half. If the Canucks do eventually consider any changes, it comes at a time when organizations are extremely nervous about the challenges of properly vetting candidates for current or future openings and the consequences of failing to do so. Anaheim and Chicago absolutely cannot afford mistakes. The league office holds major influence in these decisions. And I'm not sure that's going to change much, but I can see more and more teams turning to outside entities.
What does that mean?
It means that, and we've seen this. You read the Brian Burke book. For God's sakes, people, read the book.
There's an audiobook.
There's an audiobook, and it's him doing it.
Oh, great.
And
I'm Brian Burke.
In it, you get a sense of, I talked to Gary, and I said, what job is there? Like, there is, not necessarily just like that. I'm kind of dramatizing that. But there is a sense that I've seen in the NHL that all front office hires, they all kind of call the head office and go, hey, who do you recommend? Like Gary and Bill, who do you recommend? And I have sort of run that about, and they do have influence, guys. Like, I don't think people realize how much influence the head office has in managerial decisions.
That's one of the most disheartening, depressing things I've ever heard about.
Given what we saw a couple weeks ago based on the press conference after Kyle Beach, yeah. And the idea that billion-dollar organizations are only now going, maybe we ought to turn this over to a service that properly vets people. Maybe we ought to hire someone so that the person we hire doesn't have any racist tweets in their past, or,
What a gaggle of doddering assholes. Like, are you serious?
Dude.
Are you fucking out of your...
Dude. Like, it's everybody, though.
Why do we show up at our jobs and try? Like, if these are successful people.
Because before, Steve, before, the only thing that mattered was that they were good hockey people. Good hockey men. Remember? I asked 200 hockey men. Good hockey men. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean can you be a good hockey man and a shitty person? Apparently you can.
I think good hockey man means generally jovial after 5 pints. What do you think it means? Like, fun in the dressing room, always has tape? Like, what does it mean?
I think it means that they're good to deal with if they see you as someone on their level.
Holy mother of God.
Anyway, just thought...
Did someone make a fun TikTok we can talk about? Or holy shit.
Well,
that's horrible.
It's pretty bad.
But why doesn't anything change?
Hey,
the same guy's been in charge since 1993, and that's the way he runs things. I wonder why nothing changes.
Guys, the Leafs have won 5 straight. Morgan Riley scored in 3 straight games.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
We like that.
Hooray.
And are you guys... Now, listen, I've been beating this drum for a while now. Are you going to tell me that after the Vancouver Canucks discussion we had, that Jack Campbell is not going to be on Team U.S.A. and Thatcher Demko is? Are we really going to talk about this guy's a Vezina candidate already, and we're actually going to discount Jack Campbell's season for Team U.S.A., what it's going to bring to Team U.S.A. because Thatcher Demko is a guy who played before?
In a tournament where you're allowed to have a list of 55 guys, Team USA would be ridiculous to not at least have Jack Campbell on the list.
But you can't have 55 guys going over there.
No.
He's going to make that list.
He's got to be on. Yeah, of course he can make
Everybody's
that list.
on that list. I'm on that list.
He has to be on that team.
No, and
he must be on that team.
At some point during the process, and only USA Hockey would know the answer to this, at some point 55 is going to become 50, and then 45, and then 40. And I'm very curious to see how long Jack Campbell sticks around, because maybe he should make the 23.
Maybe?
It's starting to look like he should. It's starting to look like he should.
Absolutely.
As much as we want Campbell on it, it might not even be Demko. It's Hellebuck, Gibson is your 1-2. The third slot goes to Spencer Knight.
And Gibson's having a good year.
Yeah, I don't know how Campbell breaks through that top 3.
Because he's a Vezina candidate and he's got the top save percentage in the NHL.
Hellebuck's a tough one to overcome.
Yeah, he's not.
If I'm Jack
Hellebuck's
Campbell,
the starter, no matter what. I don't care if Campbell's undefeated till the Olympics. It's not happening.
Gibson, and this is a big factor with Hockey Canada too. I'm pretty sure Gibson is very often on Team USA at the World Hockey Championship. Mm-hmm. And that's a big deal. And then there's the kid. And it makes sense to have the kid in the third role. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, okay, Jack Campbell right now is like a 945.
Yeah.
Something stupid. He would have to be that after Christmas to make this team. I agree with you that he's an Olympic level goalie. He's an Olympic level goalie, especially the way he's playing right now. Mm-hmm. But we just talked about how stuck in their ways hockey people are. Yeah. That's what they're doing.
Well, here's what I'm gonna. If he doesn't make Team USA, I hope he pulls a reverse Brett Hall, gives up his citizenship, and applies for Canadian. Because I would sure love him on Team Canada. And he might be the starter on Team Canada, honestly.
Yeah, but he's too nice to kick up a stink. No, and he would call it kicking up a stink. I don't want to kick up a stink, guys.
God, after the game yesterday, when they were like, "Hey, how do you feel about Morgan Riley?" He's like, "Man," he's like smiling. He's like, "He's one of one. Like he's the only Morgan Riley there is, and we got him." Like,
yeah,
like
what a great dude.
I love him.
That's Captain America for you. Come on now. The United States of America would fall in love with Jack Campbell if he was playing any other sport. He'd be an absolute freaking superstar.
In some ways, we underrate what he's doing.
Oh,
like it's unbelievable the streak he's had on. If you count from since he started being the full-time starter for the Leafs until this very moment,
his record
it's like 17-3,
and the save percentage is one of the greatest runs a goalie's had in the last half decade. You're counting some Vasilevsky seasons in there. He's up there with the Hellebuck season when Hellebuck was unbelievable.
So some people made fun of us for having the Jack Campbell top 10 Leaf goalie discussion.
I don't know.
Which was weird because Adam asked the question and then Jesse and I both went, well, no. But you read the title, so get your lulls. But he's on pace to definitely be that.
Yeah.
I'm on the wrong website. Jesus! Oh, so his record is, by math, 30. So he just got his 30th Leaf win. Stop it.
How many losses?
38-4.
Right. That's unbelievable.
Holy shit.
That's a great run.
No, but not Team USA.
But there's
and he's a 944. I said 945. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's 3 goalies probably ahead of him on the list. Maybe 4 if you put Demko, but probably not.
That is so
justice
stupid.
For Jack. I'm starting the hashtag.
Wow.
We're going to sell T-shirts in the store, and I want an American flag on it.
And
you're only
freedom for Jack.
You're only fired up about this because you have Team USA winning the Olympics.
Well, yeah, because I want them to. Well, I took the field.
You piece of shit.
People were like, "Where's your patriotism?" I'm like, obviously, I'm cheering for Canada, but it's a smart bet.
Is it obvious?
You know, as a bettor, that's a good bet.
It's a very good bet.
Thank you.
But because I'm not a Judas, I would not bet against Team Canada. I took Team Canada on this bet.
I don't appreciate that.
So, Adam, if you want to get tried for treason, keep up your ways.
Steve washes his hands of it because that's biblical.
Forget as a Leaf, he's been spectacular his whole NHL career. He played one game.
Oh, you're still looking at Jack?
Dude, because I can't believe it.
Yeah.
He played one game with the Dallas Stars that went really poorly in 13-14. That's how long his journey's been. He had a 20-minute appearance with the Kings in 16-17. Then the journey really begins. He's a 924 in 5 games with the Kings. The next season, he's in 928 in 31 games. Then he's a 900 goalie in 20 games with the Kings, who were really bad. And since coming over to the Leafs, he's like a 980 or something. I didn't do all the calculations. Since he became an NHL regular, he's been lights out. Mm-hmm. Ever since he's joined the Leafs, he's been... It's such a shame because...
And by the way, when he was down for that 32-game season in LA when they sucked...
Yeah. He was great.
I don't know, guys.
He... starting goalie for the Leafs. If you're great, that's the expectation. If you're anything less than that...
True.
If you're anything less than that, you're garbage. Do you know how great you have to be appreciated? Like
we have had some good goalies.
Frederik Andersen, the moment he fell off, we were like, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
Yo, but when he fell off, he fell off.
He fell off really hard.
He wasn't like Felix Potvin, who got a little worse. Felix Potvin got a little worse, and then they signed Cuccio. We know that.
Fight me.
I know. And they made the best trade in Leafs history and got Berard for him.
Freddie fell off because of injuries.
Yep.
And it was also in a pandemic season. And it was for 40 games, and then he just never got the job back.
Yeah.
He didn't fall off of Mount Everest.
We knew why he wasn't performing. And
Right.
I've seen a lot of people point out his numbers with the Hurricanes, and they go, ha ha. It's a shitty joke, Adam. And they go,
We're not.
No, Frederist?
Mount Frederist.
Frederist.
He's tall.
And
he's very tall.
How tall is
croissants?
Frederik Andersen?
Cupcakes. Muffins.
Spaghetti.
Continue.
I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, hey, look how good he is with the Hurricanes. And we were all like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, he was that good with us.
Well, it's the Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah, they're fantastic.
They're really good. I'm not taking anything away from Freddie,
no.
But
Okay.
They look at the contract we gave Peter Mrazek because of the 12 games he played with them.
I'm going to change this up. Should Andrew Mangiapane make the Canadian Olympic team?
He's the only person on my fantasy team scoring, so yes.
14 points. He's got 12 goals and 2 assists in 17 games.
Yeah, he's like, oh, God.
He's going to make the 55, but he's not going to make the team.
He's like Brandon Peary.
Unless you're a...
You know who he reminds me of? Matt Bolesky.
Oh, God. Yeah, tiny. He pocket Matt Bolesky.
No, and I'm not saying he's better than Matt Bolesky, but the run he's on where Matt Bolesky just all of a sudden scored a bunch of goals and Boston's like, here's 5 years.
Hi, I'm Gordie Howe now.
Yeah,
and
he just... It's like, it's a little bit like, whoa, this is one... Now, Mangiapane's actually a very good player. I'm not trying to take that away from him. Please don't take that the wrong way, Flames fans.
Okay, I'm just going to do this quickly. Tell me who of these players you're going to kick off for Andrew Mangiapane, okay? Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, Sean Couturier, Ryan O'Reilly, Braden Point, Steven Stamkos, John Tavares, Jonathan Huberdeau, Zach Hyman, Mark Scheifele, Matthew Barzal, Taylor Hall. Who are you kicking off? No, we're good.
The answer to that is gun to my head. Laser pointing at Earth.
I want to eat some bread.
Which is what Mangiapane means.
Yes, it is.
All right, next Troy Terry's on the Olympic team.
Well, he might
on the American one.
Should probably.
But
that's a bad example. I'm sorry.
CJ's been
here's something that backs up your point completely, Adam. That's a really you're right.
Yeah,
I thought
something no one has ever said to me.
I thought he was Canadian.
You know what? You turned me on Frederist. It's a good joke.
Thank you.
And you should say it.
Wow, compliments to me.
You turned me around. It's hilarious. No, CJ has made several salient points on his show about why Mangiapane is a contender. He's had an extremely good start. Hockey Canada really likes him. He's a penalty killer, and that's important to them. But your argument is a list of 24 superstars, and I've got to say it's better. You can, some of those guys, okay, Marchand will kill penalties, Bergeron will kill penalties, Hyman, who has a pretty good chance of making it, can kill penalties, and I don't remember the other names.
But clearly the answer is Taylor Hall, who's not even worth a first-round pick anymore.
Taylor Hall was of
Leaf fans?
Will Anders Bjork make Team Sweden? I don't know.
Taylor Hall was the list of 3 extra players I named because I named 17 forwards.
He's not even going to get a sniff at the team.
The Bjork
he's not
thing,
even going to come close to the team.
The Bjork thing just killed me, by the way. I just hope you know that. I want to die right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's really good.
Okay, so yeah, Mangiapane probably not gonna.
No, but he's a great story.
Let's say it's 30 games in and he's got 30 goals because he's close. Okay, let's say it's in January. You said Jack Campbell in January.
So he goes 50 and 50.
He's going 50.
He's Wayne Gretzky.
He's going to do 50 and 37. Let's fucking go, Mangiapane. If he is, do you have to bring him in? If he's playing like this, you guys said that about Jack Campbell. If Mangiapane's doing this after January.
Yeah. Okay, if Mangiapane is Wayne Gretzky, yes, he makes the team. If that's the question, then yeah, it's a simple answer.
I don't have enough time to look it up, but Steven Stamkos had like 20, 25 goals already by the time Canada rolled into the Vancouver Olympics. And Hockey Canada was like, that's great. You'll have a great time watching from home. They didn't care. They didn't care. So Mangiapane, if he turns into Wayne Gretzky, maybe the 13th forward.
Okay.
All right. Also, Troy Terry is American. Yes. I knew that.
I knew that. Troy Terry, who was once on the trade bait board, and I am sad.
Let me ask you a quick debate before we go to the press conference. Actually, couple quick ones. First off, in Dallas, is Rick Bowness a huge dick? Is he Texas's Babcock, or is he being an NHL coach?
Yeah,
what happened?
This is a tough one.
So let me read. Let me read,
Sure.
and then we'll get to it, and then you can tell me. So, Dallas Stars forward and Minnesota native Riley Tufte was scratched an hour before his game after he'd spent all of his call-up money on tickets for his family, and Nick Bjugstad actually helped him purchase tickets after he ran out of money. So that is not great.
No, that sounds horrible.
But what's the context?
Well, as a Leaf fan, we hear that and we're like, that's exactly what Babcock did to Spezza, who got like 30 tickets for his friends and family to see him play with the Leafs, and then he's a healthy scratch in game one in place of Nick Shore. Extremely different context. We're talking about the first game of the season versus game 20 and a team in absolute free fall. And we're talking about a guy who's played something like 900 NHL games versus this guy who has played like, what was it, 3?
Nope, 2.
2.
His first game was last Saturday, where he played 4 minutes and 25 seconds, and then his second ever NHL game was on Tuesday, where he played 7 minutes and 50 seconds. And then, was it last night? He gets scratched.
So let's say in 20 games, the Stars are, I don't know, 10-8-2. Let's say they're 10-8-2. They're a little above 500. They're doing okay. Does Rick Bowness throw the kid a bone and let him know ahead of time, kid, you're playing in Minnesota. Tell your friends, tell your family you're gonna be playing, and they'll get to watch you. They're not gonna watch you a ton, but you get to play. I think in normal circumstances, he and most coaches would do that. But like Rick Bowness is. The Stars are so bad that they've already had a players-only meeting. They got the John Boy treatment. You never want the John Boy treatment.
Can you tell me what that is?
So John Boy is a guy who mostly does baseball, and he lip reads amazingly. And he takes like umpires and batters, and he just takes everyone in the baseball field. He reads their lips. He provides amazing context. He explains rules I never knew existed. He's one of my favorite sports personalities.
YouTuber.
Yeah. And he was so amazing through the whole Astros thing.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't he the guy that found it? Was he the guy that found it?
No.
Or was it
Not found it, but his videos were probably the most popular.
Okay.
Right? So other people found it, exposed it. He got some video evidence, and you hear the bang bang. And
It's one of the best sports YouTube accounts in the entire business.
I just wanted to make sure
Fantastic.
for people that didn't know.
oh, yeah. So he got the John Boy treatment, and Rick Bowness is just motherfuck, like screaming at these guys on the bench. You're giving me fucking nothing, and where's the fucking fight? Where's the fucking fight? That was the quote. The Stars are in a bad place right now, and he's not in a position to do charity work here. Now, if he gave this player the impression, hey, you're playing in Minnesota, if he told him that and pulled the rug, that's an asshole move.
Well, here's what he said.
Who's he?
Rick
Bonus
Bowness.
or Tough?
He said it was an assistant coach's decision.
So already we're just starting, and he threw someone else under the bus. All right.
Well, that's what it is.
Can I read the whole thing?
Oh yeah, give me the quote.
Yeah. So it's like 2 paragraphs, but it's worth it. It's a big ask for him to go into a game like today. Kiwi sat a couple of games, Kiviranta. We wanted to get some speed and some energy from him. Riley hasn't played very much. He's only played 4 minutes one night and 7 minutes the last. That's a tough ask to put him in those situations. He'll be back in the league and we'll be back in there next time we come to Minnesota. At some point, he'll play here. Tonight, we wanted to put a little more speed in the lineup, and Kiwi sat out a couple. When I got to the rink tonight, the lineup changed. Riley was in as of this morning. When I got to the rink, Dave told me we had a couple of guys that we didn't expect to play. So we had to make a quick call there.
Oh, so the Stars, who I guess have been banged up or had guys on protocol, had a couple guys who became available to them who previously weren't.
After morning skate, Kiviranta's like, I can go tonight. And then now the lineup. That's real Tuft on Tuft. You know, the morning you're in the lineup, you're at morning skate, you get all these tickets, and then
an hour before
game time comes around, and the coach is like, "Hey, you know, Kiwi can suit up. We're gonna put him in."
What if no one's wrong?
That's rough.
What if no one's wrong?
I think that's I gotta criticize Rick Bowness here because that's not a good way for a team that's struggling. All you're doing is you're hurting yourself with the guys in the room.
Which you're already potentially losing.
You need to feel good about something. So on that point, I agree. And the issue I have is, even if it was the assistant coach's ultimate, like, this is my recommendation, it's a recommendation. Because the assistant coach doesn't set the lineup card.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, Rick should have been like, yeah, falls to me. And I made that decision in consultation with the assistant coach.
What a strange... That was the first thing he mentioned, too.
Yep.
It was an assistant coach's decision. Which assistant coach? First of all.
Dave Zeiss. Zeis.
Forever just known as Dave.
Zeiss, maybe I'm saying that incorrectly.
So now, I mean, forget losing the room, which it sounds like he already has. He's losing his staff.
He's throwing Dave under the bus.
Yeah, fucking Dave's like, yo, you asked for my recommendation, but this is your call.
There's
Dave's
no situation where it's that guy's fault. You're his boss.
Dave can't only make hot chicken.
No.
He's got to be assistant coach in the NHL as well.
Hot chicken is unbelievable. You know what? Next week we'll order some.
I think that's on Bonus being a bad manager. You know, like, you gotta understand personalities, and sometimes just getting guys to like you means more than, hey, we got the injured guys not injured. Just because the medical staff comes over to you and is like, Kiviranta can play tonight, doesn't mean you can't give him the extra day off because you've already committed to Tuft coming in the lineup.
If I was a leader on that team, first off, I would pay the kid back for all the money that, like, I would just, like, because those guys like Ben and Sagan make a lot of money.
Yeah, why is it
I'd be like,
Bukestad?
here, let me well, Bukestad does pretty well as well, but
I think he's another Minnesota guy.
But I would just say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you that money back so you can take this because you're a fringe guy.
Yeah. And you know why that money thing hits even more home for me hearing this story? Because of the damn Agent Provocateur podcast on Tuesday, where they explain that, hey, $3 million is actually like $800,000. So this kid who's making like $100,000 in the AHL or whatever gets called up for one game. He's got to spend all these tickets. He's making a normal guy's salary.
Yeah. I think it was the 24/7 series Leafs Red Wings, and there was a dinner. And Jerry D'Amigo, who had just been called up, he was making like 70 G's in the American League. He lost the credit card game.
Oh, gosh.
Why was he even in the credit card game?
Part of me,
no.
I was judging them. I was judging the other players at the table. I'm like, that's
and they
bullshit.
made him pay, right?
That's literally some guy paying. It's the equivalent of some random off the street paying for dinner for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
And that's what happened, right?
Yes. What? You know, did someone maybe step up afterward? I don't know.
You don't do that. That's
and I
shitty.
mean, I'm sure he got a signing bonus, but it's fucked up. It's fucked up.
I would never go to dinner with those fuckers again. Are you kidding me? Fuck you.
I remember being like, that's really not cool. That's really not cool.
And so anyway, I think that
it made me like the team less.
It's possible that Rick Bowness and his assistant coach, Dave, the only Dave, has ever existed. It's possible that they made what they thought was the right lineup call. But at the end of the day, if this guy was an inconsequential player anyway, which it seems like he is. They're playing him like he is. 2 games, he has 11 total minutes. Yeah, this guy doesn't matter much to the play.
Yep.
If you knew that, and that remains to be seen. Did he know that the guy was from there? Did he know the family was coming? Bukestad. The players need to step up and say, Rick, this is a wrong call. And Rick needs to, if he knows about that, needs to understand that it doesn't fucking matter anyway, man.
Or also, hey, listen, kid, we're gonna play Minnesota again. We're Dallas. You know, I'd be curious to know how much wire crossing there was. Did any of the coaching staff know this was gonna happen?
Keep going.
Oh, really?
Well, Rick Bonus's Wikipedia page has been updated.
Oh, no.
What did somebody do?
Richard Gary Bonus, born January 25, 1955, is a Canadian who is familiar with ice hockey and an irredeemable piece of garbage after scratching Riley Tufte at the last minute. He masquerades as the head coach for the Dallas Stars of the National Hockey League, and so on and so forth.
Can I make my last point on
Please.
why Rick is in the wrong here and looks like kind of an asshole?
Mm-hmm.
The team lost 7-2. Oh! Lost in all of this is the result of the damn game. They went out and they laid a giant fat egg and they gave up and they allowed 7 goals to the Minnesota Wild. The team didn't want to play and you made it worse.
Yeah, but no, the fourth line had speed.
You know what? I need to scratch that kid.
You know what?
We got Kiwi in. That's what we needed. We needed speed to lose by 5 goals.
We could have lost by 6 goals had it not been for
come
TV.
on.
This is a move I could have been sold on, but the more details you give me, no.
Yeah.
No.
I was on the other side as well. I saw this story and my first reaction was, oh, it's fucking fourth liner who's playing 4 minutes. He's probably going to get scratched at any time now. But then when you dissect it, you're like, Rick, just do the right thing. Your team sucks and they lost 7-2.
We got a lot of eyes on the Habs right now for how they're struggling. Game over, sweater. We got a lot of eyes on the Canucks for all the reasons that we listed earlier. Mm-hmm. If there is a website to bet on which coach gets fired first, bonus. I like those odds. Mm-hmm. I like those odds. Boy, that's tough.
We're gonna not do the press conference today, if that's okay.
Yeah, I got a few things for the network.
I just have one more thing that I'd like to hockey related to bring
I
up.
have 3 more things.
Okay.
Cupcakes,
Then we'll do network
muffins,
stuff.
Okay.
pineapples,
Ian Mendes today.
who we love.
Love Ian.
Love Ian.
Nearly a decade ago, I asked if Daniel Alfredsson would be kept out of the Hall of Fame because of a Toronto-centric bias from voters. After he was passed over again, I think we got our answer. But it's time for everyone to appreciate his greatness. Now, this is an article in The Athletic titled "Enough Already. It's time to finally put Daniel Alfredsson in the Hall of Fame." Here's where I'm gonna go with this. Ian's smart, and we should have Ian on to discuss this article because I think it's great. First off, he knows all the Toronto fans are gonna jump on this like flies on shit, and they're gonna spread the word. Fucking smart move, Ian. Well played. Mm-hmm. Number 2. If that were actually true, Kevin Lowe would not be in the Hall of Fame. and I think when you look at who went in, I think Ian's right. Like, I feel like there are certain people in the NHL that get into the Hall of Fame not because they're great, only because they've just been around. And let me tell you this about Edmonton. It's not hard to be employed with the Oilers if you were a former Oiler, especially an 80s Oiler, for a long time. And what I ask you, and this is where I would like to pivot, is I didn't want to make a big deal of it because I'm not trying to poop all over someone's night, but Kevin Lowe, in my mind, should not be in the Hall of Fame, shouldn't even get a sniff.
He's got his rings.
Yeah, but was Kevin Lowe the guy?
No, but what I'm saying is the rings are the recognition.
They should, the rings are the recognition.
Yeah, it's not every player who wins a lot deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
And
were you great while winning?
And not every person who's employed a lot in management deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Were you great by managing?
he's in the Hall of Fame as a builder, correct? Not for his playing skill.
What did he build?
Is he?
I'm gonna triple check that. I'm pretty sure it's for his contributions
the
to the game as a
2006 run? Is that
manager.
why?
It makes more sense for him to be in as a player.
So Dwayne Rollison put him in the Hall of Fame? Is that what we're saying? Because what did he build?
No.
Is it because he built Rogers Arena? Was it part of that? Threatened to move the team from Edmonton with Daryl Cates. Remember that happened? Remember they did that?
Seattle. I do remember that. Let me go to an MLS
I'm sorry,
game
but like
for some photos.
Ian's right. Alfie should get in before Kevin Lowe. No question.
Totally. What I was looking for on my phone there was Scott Wheeler's response. Scott, who is Ian's coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there are very few members of the actual Hall of Fame committee who are Torontonian or have any involvement or past or present with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys from Toronto actually used to be Ottawa Senators head coach, Mike Murphy, I think it was.
Oh, yeah.
And the other Torontonian's Bob McKenzie.
I'd also like to say that Alexander McGillney, who is a former Leaf who has 1,000 points, is not in the Hall of Fame yet.
It's hard to get into. Daniel Alfredsson is in a really tough category of player to get into the Hall of Fame. There were arguments against Paul Kariya going in, just like there are arguments against McGillney going
You're out of
in.
your minds with McGillney. You're out of your fucking
And
mind.
there are arguments.
Look at the tape. Him and Bure playing together. Are you kidding me?
And this name is always unpopular in this conversation, but if you just look at hardware and numbers, Theoren Fleury's not in. And I wrote about this years ago.
He should be in.
It's not the Hockey Hall of Great People.
Or the Hockey Hall of I agree with everything he tweets.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
Theoren
not
Fleury,
the Hockey Hall of wonderful Twitter accounts.
Yeah, Theoren Fleury
That's
went
for sure.
through a lot of shit too.
Of
And
course.
we must acknowledge that. I don't agree with anything he tweets, but if we don't acknowledge what he went through and overcame and performed like in his career, I think we're also doing him a huge disservice.
Before I knew what his Twitter account was like, I wrote an article defending his bid for the Hall of Fame, and throughout the process of writing that, I was convinced it was wrong. He's not in. So there are lots of deserving people who should be in the Hall of Fame, and maybe Alfie's one of them. Dave Anderchuk had to wait like 14 years to get in.
So maybe Alfie
and he had
just has to
600
wait.
goals.
Maybe Alfie's just got to wait.
The hockey's 3,000 hits to baseball comparable is 600 goals. And there was a time where only 3 players who have ever scored 600 goals were not in the Hall of Fame. 2 of them were still playing, so that's why they weren't in. And the other guy was Dave Anderchuk. And for over a decade, he had to wait to get in. And people went, well, it's because he played a lot. Isn't that part of it?
That counts.
It counts.
That's so stupid.
Oh, we'll take the goals back then.
Somebody made the argument too. What was it last year? Wasn't there a person that got in because he played a lot? And people were like, oh, he shouldn't get in.
No, I think you're thinking of the all-time games played record.
Oh, that
you're
Marlowe broke.
You're thinking of the Marlowe. We did that for like a month when people were just getting upset because he's not Gordie Howe because he just played
What do you
on
mean
many
he played
seasons.
this much? He's only getting this way because he played this much.
And where's he on the list? Patrick Marlowe.
Yeah.
First ballot. That's where he should be. Just for
Depends who you ask.
correction, only Ken Holland went in as a builder. Kevin Lowe went in for his playing career.
He is not.
Player makes a lot more sense than builder.
Yes.
He is
Okay.
not a Hall of Fame hockey player. Flat out. And I don't mean, that's not an insult to Kevin Lowe, but he's not a Hall of Fame hockey player. He's not. Not everybody on that Oilers team was. Is Glenn Anderson it? I would put Glenn Anderson in 40 fucking times before I'd put in Kevin Lowe, and I know they played different positions. Like, that's like, is Steve Smith in? The guy that accidentally the puck went off in 1985 and wrecked their chances? And
No,
What are you talking about?
Steve Smith was a pretty big defenseman.
No, but that was a Dang It's video that we made early in the pandemic, and what I liked about that story, so he scores against his own team, fucks up their whole playoff. The next year the Oilers win the cup, first guy Gretzky passes it to, Steve Smith.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, great
Incredible story.
Great story.
But
he is Glenn Anderson is in the Hall of Fame. 6-time cup winner.
But this is the point
Just like
here.
Kevin Lowe.
The point here is that Ian's right, but Ian's also smart. And I just, as Toronto Maple Leaf fans, please don't bite down on the pill. Okay? When people throw that stuff out there, leave it. It's okay.
Don't bite down on the pill.
I also would like to have Ian on to discuss that because I think that would be a lot of fun. Ian's got a great sense of humor. If
He's
you don't
been
know
on
Ian,
before.
yeah,
Was
I
he?
know, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one I would like to have.
100%.
Yeah.
Monday?
Yeah, let's reach out to him.
I'll reach out.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Love Ian.
And Jesse, you've got some network stuff before we wrap up.
Yes. Next Friday is Black Friday. If you're not subscribed to our mailing list, every couple months we send out like an email on the mailing list. And coming up for Black Friday, there's going to be a discount there. So get on the mailing list, get your discount for Black Friday because there's going to be some new merch, also a restock of our trading cards. which does not include the discount. You don't get a discount on that because that's just for charity. The trading cards are going out
What do you
next
mean I don't
week.
get 20% off for charity?
You don't get 20% off for charity.
Thanks, Steve.
So yeah,
I always say direct quote.
sign up for our mailing list because we always send out updates every couple months. We're not intrusive in your inbox. And yeah, Steve's gonna sign all these trading cards, and we're gonna have a little restock next Friday. If you want to pick one up, and donate $100 to Sick Kids for a trading card.
Beautiful.
Do it.
Don't forget to check out CJ's show, Game Over Montreal, which is Season Over Montreal at this point. And of course, that was Jesse's idea, by the way. I took that directly from Jesse, and he did that 5 games, and he was right.
I don't remember that.
You said you tweeted Season Over Montreal at
Did I?
Berkshire. Yeah,
Okay.
that was you.
I don't remember that. I'll take credit.
And you know what? We should start selling Season Over Montreal.
No, that's mean.
But Agent Provocateur is out. If you didn't know already, Frank Zecca, the guy who manages Michael Phelps and Steph Curry's money, came on, and you will be enlightened and blown away by how little take-home pay athletes actually get. It's kind of shocking.
The Chris Johnston show. Pay attention when you listen to that damn show.
There are some things.
Well, also,
Oh my God.
CJ is not like me. He doesn't go, wait till you get a load of this shit and take 45 minutes to get there. He just goes, info. Delightful story. Info. It's a great show.
By the way, Coburg Poppy got his Coburg mug, so he's very excited.
You coming to a Cougars game?
Yeah, we're gonna DM. We're DMing with the Cougars right now.
Company chopper?
Yeah, company chopper. Yeah, but we are gonna go, and we want people. Chris was texting me. He's like, "Do you think people like if we did a CJ show night at the Coburg Cougars? Do you think people would go?" I was like,
Absolutely.
"Yeah,
I want CJ to drop the puck, else I'm not going.
yeah." You
If
know
CJ
what?
doesn't drop the puck at the game, then like it's not worth it. He needs to drop the puck.
Julian's got to come too.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Because apparently, I just learned today that there's a Via Rail stop in Coburg.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so Julian.
know that?
No, I didn't.
Why would people know that, Adam?
I would
Because I took a lot of Via Rail when I was growing up.
Oh,
Okay.
if I ever wanted to go to Coburg, I'd drive. That's
All right.
why. So.
Listen, we got to wrap it up. Love you. We will see you Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to check out all the amazing stuff on the SDPN. Have a great weekend.
There's a lot of music to go.
Yeah,
I don't know why you're.
I'm wrapping it up.
You gotta keep talking.
Listen to the fucking music.
It's a show.
It is. It's good. Like, I'm hyped.
It's good music.
Are you hyped?
Well, I'm also sad because it's ending.
No, we missed the post.
Fuck.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.